how do you feel now? Here we are 1 month and a couple of weeks post the November 5th seismic change in America. And I don't know. I mean, I know you don't say who you vote for, but how are you feeling about the future?
I think this is great. It was long overdue. Uh, yeah, just that mob mentality momentum that's necessary to maintain an atmosphere where your job can be destroyed, your social standing can be destroyed, your children's lives at their school can be destroyed. That momentum ended with the very large national poll of what people want, which is our national presidential election, kind of set the stage for that being over. And that's the kind of momentum you need for things like if people remember the McCarthy trials, the HUAC trials, the blacklisting in the 50s, the witch burning of the 1600s, even things like tulip mania, also of the 1600s. If you don't have that momentum, you don't have the structure you need to ruin people's lives. So that's over.
How did we get sucked into it so fully?
I think it started with the MeToo movement. And I did an essay on this on my Substack, where MeToo, I think if you're somebody who's prone to feel left out, this is the worst era for you to be in, because you know if you're left out. In prior eras, you would know if you were left out in your small group, your town maybe, your work environment, your school. But now it's like, you know, if you're left out of the entire world because what you posted on social media didn't get any likes, or you're not part of the hashtag. And so you can see the trending topics, and you can see that you are not part of it. And I think that was true for a lot of women when they saw the Me Too hashtag trending, and all these women in the very unfortunate and not enviable situation of having been victims of criminal sexual assault. But it was a big topic, and I think a lot of women felt left out. And then they started kind of lowering the bar to what qualifies for that. And it became sort of the me too movement. And also we started glorifying, there was a lot of attention on people who have PTSD, or, you know, maybe from having been a victim of sexual assault or other reasons. And there was focus on that too. And so people wanted to be part of that as well. They wanted to, you know, they kind of scrambled within themselves to see, like, well, can't I qualify somehow? Don't I have some sort of trauma somehow? And then they started wearing it on their, like, almost on a Girl Scout satch, you know, little badges. And you could see it on their profiles. I'm a this, I'm a that, you know, and they started sort of highlighting all the ways that they could qualify for invisible disabilities, or me too. And then it became a sacred cow. I think it's that, Megyn. Like, as soon as something becomes a sacred cow, you're screwed. You know, and then it became like, oh, you can't touch that. You can't touch anything to do with sexual assault. You can't touch anything to do with, you can't question anybody. You can't, well, look at the animals. I saw a video of somebody putting a Great Dane on an airplane. That's their emotional support dog.
Yes, it's so ridiculous.
I mean, and people were afraid to push back because it was so easy on social media. There was that momentum, right? It was so easy on social media to destroy your career, get you fired. And for anyone who says that's not true, you're either kidding yourself, or you're just kidding yourself. It's childish to say that wasn't true. I know people for whom that's true. So it absolutely happened. And
so, okay, let me ask you this, because I look back at the beginning of the Me Too movement, and in the beginning, I think there were some noble moments. You know, I
Sure.
am thrilled that Harvey Weinstein's no longer in power, that Les Moonves is no longer in power. You know, some real villains, at least with respect to the way they treated women, went down. And I loved that. I think that's worth celebrating because we had been living in an era in which they had total control and women really did kind of have to go along to get along or just leave the industry, you know.
Yeah.
And then I really think like the pivotal moment was Kavanaugh, where they tried to Kavanaugh, you know, it's a verb now to be Kavanaugh'd, right? We're like, he's an alleged gang rapist and he's been on the federal bench for all these years. We never knew. And, you know, who's pushing those claims? Oh, it's Michael Avenatti, who would wind up in prison himself, right, for defrauding his own clients and being a professional liar and thief. So that was pivotal. But you're right, because there was a jump the shark moment. And I remember being on the set at NBC where I talked to a lot of these women. And there was one young woman who sat there and her complaint was that her boss was complimenting how nice she looked in her dress. Yeah. And I remember saying to her, come on, like what? And she was very defensive of how, no, like it's inappropriate. I just don't know how, like, in the same way, like Black Lives Matter, you know, yes, are there some incidents where we have some bad cops who do some very bad things? Of course. So then this momentum starts, but we just overcorrect everything to the point of completely bastardizing the movements. And there's a large segment of the population that when the movement breaks, it reaches the point of absurdity because it's been so exploited. They cannot get off the train. They cannot admit that something that once may have had a noble goal or, you know, taken down a true villain here or there is no longer admirable, is no longer characterized with valor of any kind, is no longer about standing up for anybody who's downtrodden, but really more about being a bully and being a movement that gets used for someone's ulterior motives.
Yeah, but for those people who were taking advantage of it, that was always true. So imagine where were those people before they decided they were going to join these hashtags, even though they didn't qualify? What was going on in their lives? What kind of people were they? And I would hazard a guess that they were lost. They didn't know what they were going to do with their lives. They felt like they were of no consequence. They felt like they were not important. They felt like they had nobody was going to listen to them about anything. And maybe they were people who had not looked within themselves at their own basket of skills and talents that I believe every single person is born with. And they haven't bothered to develop any of those. So you take these people and this attention that they got through lowering the bar to qualify for these hashtags. They were able to use it almost like a drug. So now you have a bunch of addicts, if you will, and their drug has been removed from them. So they are flailing. And now you see them grabbing onto things like, let's go after all these other CEOs. And I'm like, okay.
Yes.
You talk about absurd, like it's becoming even more absurd because just like a junkie, you take away their drug, or an alcoholic or an anorexic or a compulsive overeater, like you name it, a workaholic, a sexaholic, anything. You take the drug away from them before they've hit bottom, and you're going to have something that's beyond a panic attack. And that's what a lot of people are experiencing now, because what it means is they will have to go back, pick up where they left off before they hitch their wagon to these hashtags. They're going to have to go back there. I think it's a great opportunity for them. They're going to have to go back to that point where they left off and start developing their own basket of skills and talents. And I think if they do that and put in that work, they will see that they do have value. They do have a skill set that is of value in society. So I'm excited for them, but it's going to be uncomfortable for them right now.
It's going to take a while. That is such an interesting and apt point. I hadn't even considered that this weird cult status of this accused shooter, Luigi Mangione, who very much appears to have killed Brian Thompson, a United Healthcare CEO, and is accused of such, that it's related to this cult. For those of us who have been holding our breath for the past several months, we can finally exhale in the wake of this presidential election, right? Work can finally be done on the major issues that this country's facing, and one of the most significant is our national debt. Look, the fact is our nation's broke, and that debt is a house of cards that cannot be quickly dismantled by anyone. So the strategy remains the same when it comes to your investments. You might want to diversify your savings. Virtually all the experts say that's a good idea. This is why I want to tell you about Birch Gold. So many things are out of our control and out of our president's control that it really can be important to have a safe haven for your savings. Birch Gold Group can help you if you would like to convert all or part of an IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold, which is like a hedging of the bets. And the best news is it does not cost you 1 cent out of pocket. You just text MK to 989898. You get your free info kit. And plus, right now, you will receive a free 1-ounce Silver Eagle for every $5,000 purchased Silver Eagle coin. Protect your savings with Birch Gold. Text MK to 989898 and claim your eligibility for free silver today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.